I told you something big was coming, and you didn't believe me. Don't you look silly now? But in all seriousness, the Hytale team released a massive amount of information, and it's a bit overwhelming, which is why you're here. My name is Codiak, and today we're breaking down 4 massive blog posts and talking about the state of Hytale. Now, before we get into the video, I want to share an exciting upcoming event. This Friday, November 29th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be sitting down for another Hytale Roundtable. It's been a minute since we've done one, but I've got some really cool guests coming on the show. Livid Lion, 30 Virus, Knight of Doom, and making his appearance for the first time ever, face cam and all, is Fezzy the Frog. Very excited to have a 5-person squad, so don't forget to set your clocks, put it in your calendar, whatever the heck you got to do. It's going to be live on our YouTube channel, streaming for your pleasure. Now, this video could easily turn into a 30-minute tangent about this system or that system, but that's not why you check out these videos. You watch the Game Gurus because you want to stay informed and you want context surrounding Hytale content. Well, breaking down 4 blog posts in one video doesn't really do it justice, and anyone that thinks they can cram all of this content into one video is just lying to you. So I'll make you a promise. I'm going to touch on all the major news in this video here, but coming up in the next few weeks, you're going to get more in-depth coverage of each blog, system, screenshot, you name it. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, there is only one place to start. The biggest news of the entire series of blog posts, the release date. After reflection and what I can imagine was some difficult conversations, the Hytale team has announced that the game aims to be playable by everyone in 2021. Now, before you get all bent out of shape, let's really unpack that idea. Playable by everyone. Now, that can mean 2 things: an official launch or an open beta, which means an alpha or even a closed beta could happen sooner in 2020. There is still no official news about when the floodgates will open, even to a select few, but this is now the new benchmark to gauge all our expectations off. The line has been drawn in the sand, but what exactly goes along with that promise is still a bit obscure. As the chief grumpy Gus of the Hytale community, I realize I've been critical of the Hytale development team for a number of reasons, but this series of posts and updates has helped the team put the cart back on the tracks and has outlined a number of new strategies moving forward, 3 in particular. Moving forward, the team will be showing more work in progress aspects of the game, and I've got to say, it's about damn time. From the very beginning, I knew only showing polished features would lead to communication issues, and at this point, we're all smart enough to realize when something is a work in progress or still under development, but I understand the team only wanting to show the best content. Additionally, the Hytale team will be actively seeking feedback on certain features, which is a huge step in the right direction for engaging a passionate community. As someone who has done a number of surveys and seen firsthand how excited the community is, it would be a waste not to include them in the process. The community is an untapped resource, and this is an exciting change, one that I'll be closely watching. Finally, the team has widened their scope and announced they'll be releasing broader development updates which focus on new content from across the entire project. This means showing off work as it happens and revealing bits and pieces of content even if they're unrelated. 3 big promises, 3 big steps in the right direction. And while I had no doubt that they were moving in the right direction as a team, the silence was a bit concerning up to this point. It's nice to see everything back on track, and it'll be up to us to keep the team honest about these promises moving forward. Now that we're all back on the same page, let's talk about the content, the real reason why we're all humming into the holiday weekend. The team dropped an entire post about major graphic improvements they've made to the game, and let me tell you, from top to bottom, everything is looking great. Now, just a reminder to everyone, Hytale is built on a custom engine, which means everything has been created from the ground up, which makes the improvements even more impressive. But more importantly, it gives the team a level of flexibility and control that will improve our experience as players down the line. Major systems that have been improved include real-time shadows, improved water effects, bloom, sun shafts, rendering, and particle effects. And while all of this is impressive, I mean, just take a look at some of these images. The real showstopper is that none of these advancements change the baseline computer requirements needed to play Hytale. So any of you playing on a potato, don't worry, you'll be just fine. The custom engine gives players the flexibility to choose how detailed they want their Hytale experience to be, which means stacked computer rigs will be able to tap into the full range of graphical improvements being implemented by the game. I plan on doing a deep dive into these systems in another video because there is a lot to unpack, and I'm not an expert when it comes to game engines, but when you boil it all down, the changes all amount to one thing: immersion. Games like The Witcher 3 and God of War are great from a gameplay and storytelling perspective, but they're also technologically superior to their counterparts. And while fancy names like ambient occlusion and ray tracing are popular buzzwords, they're all trying to accomplish the same thing: an elevated level of immersion. Now, while graphics are nice and of course important to the overall success of a game, what the entire community has been craving is content, features, and systems. As mentioned before, the team took a step back, pumped the shotgun, and released bits of new, unrelated content. The biggest shock of the blog post was the release of actual game footage, the first we've seen ever, and it completely came out of left field. Again, we'll be doing a separate video breaking this down because it's a big deal and there is a lot to unpack, including the combat physics, hit detection, sound effect implementation, and localization. There's a lot, trust me. If you hadn't had a chance to check it out, do it now, because this is the foundation for the game we've been obsessing over for a year, and it's the first taste of what players will actually experience in the game. Apart from that, another major highlight was the introduction of 2 new biomes, one from Zone 1 and one from Zone 2. The Autumn Forest is a new Zone 1 area that's densely wooded and features orange and brown leaves, mushrooms, pumpkins, and decorative glowing flora. It's important to note that biomes make up areas within a zone, and more importantly, I want to draw your attention back to a graphic we first talked about in the World Gen blog post. As you can see in Zone 1, there is nothing that would lead us to believe an autumnal-themed area was even present, which means more biomes are likely in the works and will be revealed in future posts. The second biome takes us to Zone 2 and is called the Oasis. This area stands in stark contrast to the rest of Zone 2, which is largely desolate and dry, and although we haven't seen much of the Howling Sands, it's clear that the Oasis stands out as an important area within the zone. Filled with lush flora, the team reveals that the biome will feature hard-to-obtain materials not often found in the rest of the zone, which makes the Oasis a hotbed for activity both friendly and hostile. Jumping around a bit, we got a fresh look at a Hytale subsystem, farming, which was revealed in the trailer, but has largely been overlooked since then. Key aspects like tilling, planting, harvesting, and growing were all brought up, which confirms a multi-step process when it comes to growing crops and creating a garden. As a huge fan of Stardew Valley and a decade prior Harvest Moon, farming is one of the features I'm most interested in. But what I'm really interested to find out is how gardening interacts with other crafting subsystems in the game, like alchemy or cooking, and how the products of those systems impact a player's experience. Taking this one step further, the team revealed information about animal husbandry. This system is made up of 2 parts: animal domestication and livestock farming. We've talked about taming animals before, but I believe this is the first time the idea has been put into words. Likewise, we've known about livestock farming since the trailer, but what we learned about today was some of the factors that will influence an animal's happiness, such as food, availability of bedding, and companions. Again, this is something we'll be talking about in more details in a future video. In terms of new content, we also got a glimpse at some new creatures and areas. I'm not quite sure how I feel about this ghouly looking thing. The big old teeth definitely make me feel a bit queasy, but perhaps that's the point. Additionally, and I'll go out on a limb here and say, we got our first clear look at the underground forests of Zone 3. Remember this concept art from a while back? We'll take a close look at the creature in the background and you can start connecting the dots. The underground area of Zone 3 is one of the most highly anticipated areas in the game thus far, and seeing it close up like this is something else. From the unique flora to the obviously dangerous fauna, Zone 3 is going to be pure adventure, plain and simple. And speaking of adventure, let's talk about one more image that was revealed in the blog post, which showcases an unknown area in adventure mode. At first glance, this looks like a dungeon, but as I mentioned before, the areas outlined in the World Gen concept art aren't set in stone and could easily be part of one of the existing zones or part of one of the zones still shrouded in mystery. Only time will tell, but an element of toxic, the plague, disease seeps out of every aspect of this image, which could indicate something far more sinister. To wrap up this first of many videos outlining all the content revealed by the team, we have to point out that 4 brand new music tracks were released. And let me tell you something, as a former music nerd, Oscar Garvin just gets it. These 4 tracks are just an example of the dozens of new music cues added to the game since the last music update, and they each correspond to a different zone, biome, or point of interest. The team is actively looking for new ways to incorporate more music cues into the game, and with a talented composer like Garvin at the helm, why wouldn't you? I plan on bringing my good friend and music theory professor Dave Geary back to help break down these pieces even more in a future video, but for now, do yourself a favor and head on over to the Hytale official YouTube page and listen to the tracks for yourself. Trying to understand where and how you'll hear these tracks goes a long way to creating a more complete Hytale picture and what players can expect when adventuring across Orbis. With so much to unpack, 4 blog posts to break down, it's impossible to do it justice in one video, which is why more will be heading to your feed soon. But do me a favor, like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out. That simple click goes a long way to bringing other people to the channel, and as we continue to bring new people into the Game Gurus community, I'm happy to announce that our Discord has reached over 700 active members, but there is still plenty of room for you to join and take part in our community, so check out that link and join today. Thanks for checking out the video, and remember, my name is Codiak, and from everyone here at the Game Gurus, thanks for watching, and play on. Want to keep the conversation going after the video is over? Join me and the rest of the Game Gurus community on Discord. Interact with our team, talk about great games, and be the first to know what's going on with the channel. To join, check out the link below.